Hey, how are you? I'm Chris Robin, aka at Detroit Beastie, here with Team Riser Fall to talk about the AFC Championship game. The Cincinnati Bengals head to Arrowhead to take on the Chiefs. This one is going to be monumental. Stick around and let's go through it from a DFS perspective. Hey, and we are back. Thanks for being here. Once again, I'm Chris Robin, aka at Detroit Beastie, here with Team Riser Fall to talk about the AFC Championship game. And holy smokes, if last weekend in the divisional round is anything like Championship Sunday, we're in for a massive treat. Could be legendary, monumental, and what other ever adjectives you want to throw in here. But before we do that, talk about the game, and trust me, I have some wild, extensive notes in any color you can think of, highlighters from top to bottom, a couple cash ideas for your lineups, some betting odds, over-unders. I mean, everything from start to finish. Whatever's worth doing, it's worth doing right. So I'm going to cover this thing from A to B, from top to bottom, however else you want to put it. But before that, give me a sec. Make sure you go to Team Riser Fall and use promo code FLASH50. It's kind of a flash sale, just for a week or two for you if you want to join up here as the NBA season starts to ramp up, as the NHL season is kind of firing up on the ice here. Use promo code FLASH50. You'll get 50% off your first month of premium services here in the Discord. It's free, but there are some premium chats where we're building like an hour before lock in all the sports, NBA, NHL, and soon to be MLB. We're all just hanging out in there, sharing ideas and building lineups leading right up to lock. I wish that was around, 10 years ago when I first started playing DFS and doing my notes. It's a godsend. So come hang there, join me, use Flash50 as your promo code, and bam, you're there. So let's talk about this game. I don't have any weird graphics to post here. Again, it's the AFC Championship game. Should be thunder and lightning and something crashing into the video, but hey, it's just me with my notes and my thoughts and my ideas. And what a journey this season has been for me, for you, for all of us together. And I know this, I'm not saying goodbye because we have the NFC Championship game and then we have the Super Bowl. So I'm going to save, the tears and the gratitude for the Super Bowl video. But right now, let's get right into business. Cincinnati goes to Kansas City. Right now, the over-under is at about 54.5 points. Rightfully so. This game is going to be fireworks here. And Cincinnati is getting 7 points, which, in an AFC Championship game, to me, that's a little high, right? Because both teams, granted, they're coming in flying high. Kansas City is like, they would have put up 150 points last week if the NFL had any normal overtime rules, just back and forth. The last team to not score, would lose the game here. And it went on and on and on. And what a joy it was. But this one here, let me go over some betting trends briefly, because I know in some videos I do betting trends first. In some videos I do betting trends final score last. I want to start with a few betting trends because they're going to paint a picture here of the kind of lineup or the kind of ideas that I'm building here in this one. And again, my notes, which I've took a photo of and I will share with you right after the video is out and published for you to read and share on its own here. But Cincinnati 6-0 against the spread their last 6 games against AFC opponents. That's pretty great. Kansas City is an AFC opponent. It is the AFC Championship game. So can Cincinnati go 7-0 in like this legendary playoff run that they're putting together here? The over, get this one, the over has hit in Kansas City's last 7 games. So this will be game 8. Over-unders at 54.5. What are you doing? Little secret here. I'm taking the over in this one. So as we look at 2 more briefly, the under has hit in 19 of Cincinnati's last 28 games on the road. Cincinnati, they're on the road in Kansas City. I like the ATS stuff against the spread. Let's talk about the players. Enough with the nonsense. We're like 3-4 minutes in. Let's talk about the players. Let's start with Joe Burrow, Joey Jackpot, get the gun, get the gat video. Those I watch those all the time. When he was with LSU smoking the cigar and they're all dancing around the locker room. Those are so fun. Joey Jackpot, $16,000 on FanDuel, $10,400 on DraftKings. And get this, Kansas City, 31st overall against opposing quarterbacks. I mean, that is as juicy as it gets here. And I've kind of little drips and drabs all week of where I'm going. I'm building 150 lines, by hand here. And I'd be crazy if I didn't start building my lines with Joe Burrow as my quarterback. And we'll get to the wide receivers. I mean, Joe Burrow and the Bengals here, stacking them in Kansas City, it's only right. But again, I have to caution folks, right? I know not everybody plays the way I do. I don't play like you don't play like me, and boom, it's across the board here. A normal person would probably play, 10, 15, maybe even 20 lines in a multi-entry GPP. I know I'm going to max out everything across the board this weekend. Definitely not normal. I enjoy it, writing everything down and going from there. But to me, if you're going to play 10 lines or so, I would have a heavy dose of Joe Burrow and the Cincinnati Bengals. And get this, Burrow, $15,600 in the captain spot on DraftKings. That's up to you. I think he's well worth it. 25, 26 completions. I think Joe Burrow throws for like over 320 yards in this one, multiple touchdowns. So to me, Joe Burrow is a lock in a certain point, in a certain part of my build this weekend. When we talk about Patrick Mahomes, I'm not going to keep us here all day when we talk about it's Patrick flipping Mahomes here. 17.5 on FanDuel, $11,200 on DraftKings, 25, 26 completions, well over 300 yards. I have Mahomes around 308 to 310 total passing yards. Yes, 3 touchdowns, maybe 1 on the ground. That would be number 4. So to me, Patrick Mahomes is well worth it as well. But I will say this. Maybe I should have opened the broadcast with this here. When I'm talking the single game and I'm reading down the players and their price tags and their projections here, it's not all for naught, but in a game like this, there's only 2 games. It's one of the most exciting days in professional football sports all season here. It'd be hard-pressed to talk to someone, or you right now, that's going to build one line, enter it, and boom, they're done and over with. So at this point, like I mentioned in Bottom of the Barrel, it's all about, strategy. We're all going to have multiple lines, and when you crunch it, Fantasy Cruncher, and again, I believe Team Rise or Fall, $20 that rolls over month to month here. You can crunch it, and you can look at percentages of stacks. Cincinnati 10%, Kansas City 15%, however you want to do it. So when I'm reading out these players, you can grab a pen, write it down here, but I'll try and tie this up in a bow at the end of the video, which way I'm leaning in my stacks. And for the first time all season, in my AFC Championship Sunday notes and my NFC Championship Sunday notes, I got 2 little, sneaky lines I've built, and they're all at the bottom of my notes here, and you can look at that, screenshot, whatever you want to do. Let's talk about the running backs here. Already 7 minutes in. I told myself I'm going to keep this to a tight 8 to 10 minutes. Here we are, almost at 8 minutes, and I've only just talked nonsense and about the quarterbacks. Joe Mixon, $12,500 on FanDuel, $9,000 on DraftKings. Kansas City is tough against running backs. They're 7th overall, but Mixon, we know what we're going to get. He's been unbelievably good here. 17, maybe 18 carries, little high, little ambitious, but hey, AFC Championship game, single game DFS slate video. Let's just go for it all. Let's be ambitious in this one. 65, 75 yards with ease and a touchdown along with 4 targets, 3, maybe he catches all 4 of those for an additional 25 or 30 yards. Not going to mention Perrine or Evans. Those dudes are only for, if you're going to max enter, right? Or if you're going to put in 100 lines, you can kind of pivot there. When we talk about the Kansas City running backs, that's when it gets interesting. I love the idea in single games or the slate as a whole this weekend of using both Jerick Jet McKinnon, it's a mouthful, and Clyde Edwards-Helaire here. Cincinnati 21st overall against opposing running backs here. McKinnon I think McKinnon's $10,000 on FanDuel, only $5,000 on DraftKings. And when you look at Clyde Edwards-Helaire, he's cheap. He's $500 cheaper. He's $9,500 on FanDuel and only $7,000 on DraftKings. So he's cheaper than Jet on FanDuel, but more expensive than Jet on DraftKings. Whatever way you slice it, I think Clyde Edwards-Helaire carves out a nice little workload in this one. 10 plus carries, looking at 4 or 5 targets in this one. Of the 2, I hate to say this, but I would prefer Jerick McKinnon. Andy Reid has come out and said a week or two ago, that he's going to ride the hot hand. And Jerick McKinnon has been, boom, back relevant again. So you have to trust the coaching staff, or not even that, just trust what you see with your eyes. Jerick McKinnon has been outstanding as of late, so I'm going to go back to that this weekend. And as I said, I even love the idea of having both Jerick and Clyde Edwards-Helaire in my roster. Not only single game, but the overall slate with the NFC teams playing here in this one. Just one of many lines that I'm building here. When we talk about the wide receivers, that's where it gets juicy. That's where my mouth starts to water, because get this one, Kansas City 28th overall against opposing wide receivers. So I already talked about Joe Burrow. What about the Cincinnati wide receivers? Ja'Marr Chase, this kid is unbelievable. $13,000 on FanDuel, $10,000 on DraftKings. 9-10 targets, 6-7 receptions, 100 yards and a touchdown. I mean, that's really baked in to what we're doing here this weekend. T. Higgins, $11,000 on FanDuel, $7,800 on DraftKings. Almost an identical stat line. I have T. Higgins, 8-9 targets, 5-6 receptions, 80-plus yards, and a touchdown. And the last dude ringing up the back here is Tyler Boyd, $9,000 on FanDuel, $4,800 on DraftKings. 6-7 targets, 4 or 5 receptions, around, let's say 50, 60 yards in this one. So the move I've made all week in my notes, as much as I can, to telling you and on social media, to be honest with you, in the overall, the whole slate here, the 4-game slate, I have many lineups with the combination of Joe Burrow, Ja'Marr Chase, T. Higgins, and Tyler Boyd. You want to take Boyd out, you can put in C.J. Uzomah. But this one, single game here, I see no issue with putting Joe Burrow at the captain spot and then adding in Ja'Marr Chase and T. Higgins, or you can mix and match that. If you got all 3 of those Cincinnati Bengals, just move them around. One lineup is it's Burrow at captain, then the next line it's Ja'Marr Chase at captain, and so on and so forth here. There is nothing wrong that I see here with the single game and the overall slate with using all 3 Cincinnati Bengals wide receivers with Joe Burrow, and then you can mix and match. I believe I built several of those, the single game slates, where you can have all 4 Cincinnati Bengals and you're still able to kind of shoehorn in Clyde Edwards-Helaire, or if you want Harrison Butker as the Kansas City kicker. When we talk about the Kansas City wide receivers, what's the name of the game here? It's Tyreek Hill. He's given a peace sign to while they're running full speed to a guy that's in front of him. I believe there was a tweet, and it kind of went viral, that said giving a peace sign when you're running to a guy in front of you is psychotic. But hey, it's Tyreek Hill, it's Patrick Mahomes, and it's the Kansas City flipping Chiefs. Tyreek Hill, 13.5 on FanDuel, $10,800 on DraftKings, 10-plus targets, might be actually right at 10 targets, 7-8 receptions, 80-90 yards, and a touchdown, really baked in, as is Ja'Marr Chase. When we go down, it's Hardman, Demarcus Robinson, but as it stands now, I mentioned Byron Pringle in bottom of the barrel this week. This guy has really taken this opportunity the last few weeks and really moved himself up the ladder and or the pecking order here. So Byron Pringle, $9,000 on FanDuel, $5,200 on DraftKings, 5-6 targets, 3-4 receptions. I believe Byron Pringle finds the end zone yet again with only like 45, maybe 50 yards here. But Pringle, his cost on both sites, it's very conducive to kind of mixing and matching all the Cincinnati offensive weapons that you want here. When we talk about the tight ends, I'll keep it brief. It's Travis Kelce. Why are we even going to go in another direction? Cincinnati, 29th overall against opposing tight ends. Kelce, $14,000 on FanDuel, and $8,800 on DraftKings here. 9 targets, 6-7 receptions, 80 yards, and a touchdown here. So how many times this season, during the length of the season when you're playing DFS, you can literally write in Patrick Mahomes, Tyreek Hill, Travis Kelce in stone, and then you build around that. So again, if you're not so sold on the Cincinnati stack I gave you, start your single game lineup with those 3 dudes, Pat, Hill, and Kelce, and then you just fill in around there. Whether you want to put Pringle in that lineup, you want to put Evan McPherson in that lineup, have at it. But those 3 guys there, you're going to get major points just from those 3 dudes. And I do want to say C.J. Uzomah briefly. Kansas City, 13th overall against tight ends. C.J., 8.5 on FanDuel, $5,600 on DraftKings. Kind of like Byron Pringle. CJ has really stepped up and worked himself up in that pecking order, but there's only so far you can go in the Cincinnati offense when you got Chase and Higgins and Mixon there. And CJ has been doing damn good with what he's been given here. I have CJ 5-6 targets, 4 receptions, 40 yards, and the kicker will be if he finds the end zone. When we talk about the kickers here, Evan McPherson and Harrison Butker both pique my interest here. McPherson, the rookie, this kid's unbelievably good. 8-5 on FanDuel, $4,000 on DraftKings, or then Harrison Butker at home. He's highlighted in green, which means you can pivot to him if need be. Butker, $9,000 on FanDuel, $4,200 on DraftKings. And that's what I have. With my final score here, I want nothing to do with the DSTs because not much is going on. You're looking at 2 sacks for the Bengals, 3 sacks for, Kansas City. We've seen Joe Burrow make some ill-advised or non-ill-advised throws. He holds it too long, and boom, you're looking at a sack for 10, 15 yards or so. I think the Chiefs get to him a few times. Nothing crazy, nothing that we can't make up with the offensive weapons here. So to me, the final score, what everybody's waiting for. I love to have props, right? I have a ton of hats. Here's my Cincinnati Bengals hat. Here's my Kansas City Chiefs hat. This Kansas City Chiefs hat is older than dirt. It's my late father, so shout out to my dad here. But I think it's pretty easy what's going to happen here. The Kansas City Chiefs are going to win this one. I think Kansas City wins this one 35-27. If this game is any indication of the divisional round, Cincinnati is going to have the ball late in this one, and they're going to be driving, and a touchdown will tie the game, or the extra point will win it for them. But I think they fall short. Kansas City is on another level, which is crazy to say because they're always good. But give me the Chiefs to win this one, 35-27. Make sure you go to Team Rise or Fall briefly. Use Flash 50. You can get in on all the premium services. We can hang in the Discord leading up to lock time of all the sports here, and enjoy the divisional round. I'm going to enjoy this hat. I haven't worn it in 30 years, but maybe it's time. Maybe on Sunday, it's time to wear this hat. So again, shout out to my late father. Love you, Ron. That's his name, and I'll be right back, realistically, with the NFC Championship game single game video. Until then, be good, and I'll see you really soon.